Nova Scotia's EMO asked to use the hall as a registration centre for residents of Portapique who had fled their homes. An RCMP officer was posted here in a cruiser. By this time, police were on the hunt for the shooter, who they knew was impersonating a police officer. At 10:30 a.m., 2 RCMP officers fired multiple shots outside the hall. Sources have told CTV News the officers thought they were firing at the suspect when it was in fact a fellow Mountie.
This program is brought to you in part by...
Why don't you get yourself some turned-down collars, Poirot? They're much more the thing, you know.
The thing, Hastings? Do you think Poirot concerns himself with mere thingness?
No. No, I see that.
The turned-down collar is the first symptom of decay of the grey cells.
I just think if people keep pushing, I can't, first of all, thank enough all of the hard work. There's 3 fellow YouTubers who are working very, very hard with me on this one. Rage in the Cage, Steve LTT, and Just My Stupid Opinion. Just plugging them, sorry. But they are fantastic guys, really been busting their humps here. And, stepping up to the plate, because there's a certain amount of risk saying certain things. And also, likewise, all of the people who are volunteering information and time, which is, like I said, over on the Discord or sending me anonymously information, it is fantastic.
Evening. So that was a pretty great interview. Thanks very much to Nova Scotia Guy for helping me with that, and obviously huge thank you to Leon. Really great guy, and I know he's very he wants his message to get out, and there was a lot of things in that interview to unpack. Hopefully maybe we brought some new eyes to the channel, which would be good, because I think somehow YouTube is doing something funny to me again. So maybe some other people have something to do with that. I don't know. I like the downvote there. That was pretty classic. Anyway, evening and happy Thanksgiving. Thanks, guys, for everybody for joining that interview tonight. If you can, I really would appreciate it, not for myself, but for Leon. And Leon did specifically phone me right before the interview, and he said, please, can you help, the message get out? And I said, absolutely, man, whatever. We'll do whatever we can. And I'm just a small player, but, it works out. So, oh no. Oh, all right. Well, sorry for that person that messaged me, if they happen to be in here, don't know. You can always give me a call about that. I think you know what I'm referring to. Anyway, yeah, I got some great news on some other things. Been a really tough year for a lot of people too, not just on this end, down there in Nova Scotia, but some really great people who have been helping out a lot. Have experienced a lot of loss, so my thoughts and prayers are also with them, as well as always, of course, with all the people down in Nova Scotia, Leon and the families. But we're going to keep pushing along, and we're going to get the truth at some point. So, and that's, again, huge thank you to all of you, right? I can't do anything without you guys, your ears, your brains. That's what, and that share thing, I guess that helps, or whatever. You share the information and talk amongst yourselves. That's really important. Evening, Dave, Aussie, Truth and All. Truth and All likes Basil's name, yeah. Jumbo Slice. Is it going Jumbo Slice? I don't know. Are you new, Jumbo? By the way, my language can be foul, and also there's like I think I'll actually just have a look. I can't remember exactly how many videos we're up to now. Almost 100 videos of just Nova Scotia stuff, live streaming. So they're huge videos. Yeah, can be up to. I don't know why I'm getting lag. Anybody else getting lag here? Can be up to 6 hours. Some of them. I don't know how anybody can tolerate me for more than 2. I can't even tolerate myself. G Beth, what's going on? Good news. Good news. Aussie, so good to see you. Blue nose. And Little Miss So It All. She is so she says. So she says. I like how you spell everything with the so. 152. It was great. But I'm hoping that I can see some big numbers on that just for him, because he really and he said a lot of important things in that video. A lot of important things, and I want to hear what you guys thought. I've obviously had a couple of days to unpack it. You want to hear something funny? So we did the interview the night before, actually, that one, and so when it was all done, I went to go and press end, and I hadn't pressed start, and I was like, oh my god. Oh no. It was like much longer video too, a lot more information in that video, but it was also not as, free flowing and stuff. So, but I couldn't believe, and then I felt so terrible. I was like, oh no, I wonder if Leon will be able to do it, because it takes a lot for him to actually do that, right? Brings back a lot of memories and things like that, and he has been really awesome, especially in the last while, doing some things. Fifth Estate, he mentioned. Fifth Estate, yes, Fifth Estate. Apparently Fifth Estate wants to have a little visit. Anyway, we'll see about that. I'm not so sure, but he's had a visit with them. Sharon had a visit with them. So a couple of our friends, right? Leon's, I would think, is a new friend. He's a really great guy. He is like a really super guy, and he's funny. He's really funny. Somehow I think he and I might have similar senses of humor. Similar. But we'll see. Likes to scuba dive too. Kristen Mahoney, very interesting interview. There's something definitely wrong with this story. Maybe very big players involved. Yes, very big players. I'm sorry I don't recognize your name. So welcome if you're new. Like I said, there's a list. I haven't updated the list, but I believe there might actually be even over 100 videos in there of streaming since day one. So just so that you get a background on who I am and why I'm involved in the story. Tara, there's a woman named Tara who's a friend of mine. And Tara, a longtime YouTube friend of mine, who her brother, her sister-in-law, and her niece were killed that night. And so Tara I received a phone call that morning, very early in the morning, and I was like, oh my God, what are you doing up at this time? And I thought it was, and I was kidding when I said that. I'm like, oh, ha ha ha. No, it was not a happy phone call. So I said, well, you know what? We have a platform. We can do something with that. So why don't we start? And we've uncovered a lot of little interesting things along the way. It seems like, I don't know, I don't mean to do this. I'm not going to do that. But I think you can, if you go back, you'll see a lot of the videos early on. There's a lot of little cat and mouse game going on between the RCMP. It still continues to this day. The coat is an interesting new development. So yes, I would agree, Kristen. Absolutely, there is a huge, something very big going on. I don't think it's just ineptitude. Very early on, I had some thoughts on that it might be a friendly fire incident that may have taken place, which would be obviously horrific. I think it's much more serious than that. And then this has given me a really great opportunity to learn a lot about the RCMP, a lot more than I knew before. So also I do YouTube. That's what I do. I don't make money from it. YouTube long ago said I could never make money, even if I wanted to, which I didn't try, but they said, no, you, what do they call it? Demonetize my channel. So I just do it because I figure truth is important. So this is what I've been doing for kind of 5 years or something. Better than having a job, eh? But guess what? I have the cash to do it, so it's okay. Green Bastard. Oh, so good to see you. I've been messaging you, sir. I'm calling you a couple times. Hope everything's okay. Hope everything's okay. I see you around tonight. So that's, you were warming my heart. I'm hoping okay that everything's okay. Maybe you can just shoot me a text and let me know. See, great friends. Meet great friends. Ozzy, another super one. Mark Evans, how you doing? Very big thank you. Very big thank you to Leon. Huge thank you. And I'm hopeful that this may kind of start to bring out some other people who witnessed certain things that night. Leon obviously has been a little bit more public since I think what was mid-May, May 12th or May 17th, somewhere in that neighborhood. But a lot of people saw a lot of things that night, and a lot of people have a lot of things that they can share. And no, you're not, to the best of my knowledge, obstructing any justice at all by sharing your story. I'm more than happy. So there's a team. I should also say that, just so that I'm sorry if I'm inundating you with data that most of you already know, but there is a big team of people. I just happen to be one of 4 YouTubers. There are, and if you count Tara in there, who hasn't really done a lot on this, and that's for a specific purpose, just because she's dealing with a lot. But there is Rage in the Cage, myself, Steve LTT, and Just My Stupid Opinion, all really great YouTubers who have known Tara for quite some time, and so have just kind of bonded together, said let's work on this one. Nova Scotia needs some help here, and why not? And on top of that, there is a massive team of researchers. So the Discord is closed now, but there are in excess of 350 people in there. And there's a lot of people that do a lot of work, a lot. So big, huge thank you. I can't single any personal people out because then I'd be leaving certain people out. But there are some really big people, and those of you who are involved know just how much work it is that you all do individually, so can appreciate how much it is that other people do too. So I'm hopeful, Mark. I'm very hopeful that other witnesses can come forward. Perhaps, maybe somebody within the RCMP. I visit with somebody who's very helpful within the RCMP. But obviously, the more the merrier. This is a brains that resolve this issue. And the RCMP have really thought that they could just kind of the families away. And no, that's not happened. This isn't about money. This is about truth. This is about accountability. This isn't about their buzzwords that they throw around and don't know the actual definition of, like transparency, okay, honesty, respect. These kinds of things are earned, and you have to show them and earn them. And they violated their trust a lot. And a real, if I use that term, right, not being a misogynist or anything, but a real man stands up and says when they do a mistake, when they've made a mistake. So funnily enough, I think maybe I'm going to have to eat my hat. And I'm sure there's somebody in here who would be quite happy about that one. Maybe more than one, about the blueberry field. I'm not giving up on it 100%, but I obviously am highly convinced by what Leon says. Very honest guy. And I like the fact that he also just simply says, this is what I know, and this is what I don't know. Very honest man. Very appreciative of that. Hi, Serene. How are you doing? So awesome to see you. Chai tea. Serene hopefully is going to, oh no, there's that number again. Oh, balls. Serene has agreed kindly to share video tonight with Leon, so that's good. That'll get out to a lot more Canadians because Serene has a lot more viewership base than I do. Yeah, YouTube frowned upon me a long time ago. So, but they frown upon her too. We laugh about it. It's funny. Chai is in the house, having some chai, I'm sure. Oh, I just buzzed by. You see, there's so many messages in here. Awesome. Sharon, how you doing? Mr. Moneypenny. There's one of the really hard workers. Sad mafioso. No lag. There was no lag? Okay, good. And they smoke also. I wanted to take that warning. I think I am going to take that warning. It's not mine. It is somebody else's. But it says, what does it say? I smoke and say fuck a lot. Warning. I smoke and say fuck a lot. But it's really good. Interview. Clown news. What's going on there, Craig and Amy? The fact that his coat was folded beside a power pole or a light pole. I don't know if it was folded. I'll have to go back. But yeah, I was thinking about unpacking, different elements that I've heard in the last few days from Leon. And the coat really kind of stuck out to me this morning. I don't know why. It just was like, because they go in there, they grab her, they leave poor Leon there to fend for himself. Not poor. I mean, he's clearly capable of taking care of himself, but they don't take him out. I mean, there's room in there for him, but no, you can't come along for the ride. They take his jacket and his shoes, but you know what? They don't really need the jacket. They just kind of right away out the back door. Guess she wasn't too cold, I'm thinking. So yes, very good point. Green bastard. All witnesses need to be heard. That's right, in their entirety. None of these clipped pieces, because there are clearly elements to Leon's story which are very much clipped that he has shared with the media. He shared many of those details. In fact, I believe the key ones, such as the assault and how he has shared that he had problems maybe understanding Lisa's story to begin with, and shared that with the RCMP, and then subsequently with all of the media outlets, and gave details as to why he had a problem with that. But of course, the media outlets are all supporting that story. The story that we all have come to know and love, thanks to Brenda Forbes for that. Brenda Forbes, very interesting character. I'll be happy. I've got kind of a spider web going out of how all these people are interconnected, and quite an interesting connection how everybody is connected. But Brenda Forbes seems to be the only big vocal voice. Did she see anything? I encourage anybody who has questions on that, or questions me as to why I say that, please go and read the articles. Any of them, all of them. I've got all of them printed out. Rafts of them. Rafts. I have like all over my house, just rafts and reams of articles, and I do these funny things, like highlighting and asking questions, I like paper. Anybody else like paper? And there seems to be a funny element to her story. She doesn't see anything. She says a lot, but she doesn't see anything. Save one thing that she said. Upstairs with the flu. Her connections to people. Research them. We are all human. Yes. Thank you. Truth. I like Truth's name. Been around for since very early in the story. So thank you. And supports truth in all. Very good. I know I sound like a broken record, but many people roll their eyes at comments. Please do this for Little Gray Cells and hit the share and like button. I appreciate that. I'm not going to do, I don't do this for personal glory. That is most assuredly not the reason I do it. I don't know why, but I guess it's just because it keeps me up at night. Lying, deception, dishonesty, in any way, shape, or form. I don't like the way our world has turned. It bothers me. I don't like the fact that I know there are young people around me, and I'm older, and what do I do? What am I going to do? Leave the world in their hands? No, it's my job to try and help in my little piece, as it is of all of us, to try and clean that up. To defer it onto others is irresponsible and has not worked in the past. So, but I do appreciate helping to get the message out, because that's what's important. I found interesting, mentioned Macmillan being cooperative and decent to deal with, as did I. It could just be Macmillan's bosses. I don't know. Maybe I've been unduly harsh on Macmillan, but there's been some interesting things. But of course, let's see. Somebody else in the story who has spoken with Fifth Estate asked, funnily enough, could they share the video with them before it airs so that they could approve it? And they said, no, we can't do that. And because this is Macmillan and Findlay. And she said, why not? Seamus does. To which they're like, oh, I guess that's, they said the decision comes from upstairs. One who wonders who pays their bills. Is it the same ones that pay the RCMP? Oh, that's right. That's you. That's me. So we're getting screwed by ourselves. Okay. You have no idea how funny Seamus. Oh, yes. Yes. He does seem like a wonderful, wonderful man. And I will have to bring my girlfriend down there and have some seafood, I think. Driving through a field, put to bed. I knew it would be. I knew it. I still have questions. I'm still allowed to have questions, but yes, I am conceding on this one, probably. Conceding. So Mr. Moneypenny, win. But this is the thing. When you're not right, and you have to just say that, right? She has been following since day one. Also, okay, my apologies. I did not know, so did not mean to say that, Kristen. Discord link. Is there a Discord link? The Discord is closed at this time. When it started, we knew that there was going to be problems with infiltration by people within the RCMP who don't necessarily, they want to stay ahead of the game, shall I put it that way, stay ahead of the game. So that seemed to happen en masse, and not en masse, but there were a few in there, and it became a problem. And so I haven't figured out quite how to regulate that one yet. I'm not awesome on this kind of stuff. Some other people have started some Discords, which are really awesome. I won't share their Discord links. What I will do is I will say this. I suspect they will watch this video, and if they want to share the link in the comments section below, I believe that they have moderator status, the two that are coming to mind. Please feel free, and maybe somebody else can say I have some, I don't know. We're getting it figured out. So we'll get it figured out. There are other ways to contact any of us. I don't stick any of the information really in below anymore, but I should always. I think I'm going to have to go back. Ding, something's gone wrong. There is an email address, Nova Scotia NS investigators@gmail.com is one way to contact me. You can contact me also on Twitter at Little Gray Cells, and or you can leave a comment, and I'll try and get back to you that way. But I obviously want to have more brains involved. Oh, here we go, the lag again. Because that's how it works. We all have bits and pieces. So everybody, lots to unpack. Let's go forward here. You hit the dislike button. Okay. Well, was that you, Todd, that hit the dislike button over there? Just drawing attention. If it's in fact an RCMP person or somebody towing that line, it's just drawing attention. And the sad part is, we're actually really, truly your friends over here. You may not believe that or understand, but I would go back and look at some of the earlier videos. We understand that it's a management, white shirt, highly corrupt problem at the top. That includes ripping off your pensions, making a hostile work environment for you, the disclosure of information, the mental illness drumming out that started under Paulson. I have been highly educated on some of this stuff as this has gone along. Some of it I was aware of, and some of it I did not know. And the more, Yes, there's probably somebody I talk to who I deal with. They probably send me, I would say, and they're wonderful. I'm not upset with that at all. I talk to them quite regularly on the phone. I would say about 17 emails a day, and know the RCMP in and out because they're highly connected to it. So generationally. So very much appreciate that person's help, and has helped me to understand that the red surge has a very big soot stain on it that needs to be cleaned off. And this is a public image that we want as Canadians, obviously, across the world. We don't want to be known as the people that sell Five Eyes secrets, that hire commissioners that have been found out for lying and drummed out of the military on essentially criminal charges, in their own words, insubordination charges, and those kinds of things, who have set up big circles. There, and the sexual assault. So we understand over here, funnily enough, quite well what it's like to be in your shoes. And frankly, I wouldn't want to be working in that environment. I'd want to have an environment that I felt safe in. And I don't want to pay you to work in that environment. I want to pay you so that you can work in an environment that's safe. The people who are getting paid, I want my underwear back. The ones that are, I always say that, my underwear back. The ones that, the white shirts, they've got to go. They have to go, and we got to clean it up. So, we're your friends over here. Please feel free to contact me. Anybody who contacts me, by the way, or contacts Steve, Steve LTD, like I mentioned before, or just my stupid opinion, or Rage, we might give him a call here and see if he just wants to pipe in a little bit here. And those guys are all really big help. A big help. We can guarantee your anonymity, at least on our end. And I think there are many people that can attest to that, but I guess you wouldn't know that, would you? Because you don't hear from them. But any kinds of things, if you wanted your voice obscured or you did want to talk about something, we can do all that. So don't worry. Odd detail on the lost phone numbers. Hi, Tyler. Major crime took my statement on Tuesday after. For the rest of the week, the RCMP called once a day, trying to retake as if it never happened. Patterns. Very good. Yes, lots of patterns here. The RCMP have a very kind of cookie cut way that they do things. And I've tried to show a few of those along the way. One of these days, I'll release those Quebec Mosque videos where I did quite a bit of homework on that. But they have a way of doing things, and it shuts you out. It's tell the families we don't want to talk to you because we don't want to hurt you. I mean, this is the kind of logic that they screw people around with. That is, of course, when you think about it on its face, it's pure utter insanity to say to somebody who wants answers, no, we're not going to give you the answers because we don't want to hurt you. If they want the answers, they're prepared to be heard. So they get to make that decision, not you. None of these politicians and Blair, oh my, this is really sad. Making all these decisions for their employers. The employees are making decisions for the employers. Fuck you. That's what I say. Fuck you. So Tyler, if you want to contact me, please feel free and welcome. Leah Marriott, great interview. The truth is slowly getting out there. We have to keep this in the public eye. We have to keep this in the public eye. Hopefully there will be a coming together more of media. Look at how bad my gold finger is. I point that out and now everybody's going to look at it. But the media, the few individuals, I think I have a bad feeling. I have a bad feeling about what's happened with Mr. Polanco, but we'll see. Call me a pessimist, but I think I see a chess move there. And I've had that feeling for a while. I've voiced that to a few people that I think there was a very good way to get him out. And some people were rewarded for that. But we'll see. Having faith, I'm going to have faith. But if we can have the merging of the media, and we deal with I've had conversation with Paul, and he's very good. So there is some sharing going on there, and there's some sharing going on with the families, which is good. Not much, not many. And I never go out of my way. I will go ask Steve, please, could you talk to somebody? But in terms of family, I do not bother them at all. If they message me or things, I will reply. And if they want to get further into it, I am very much, that door is always open, 24 hours a day. 24 hours. And the family members I speak to can attest to that. Anybody can call me 24 hours a day if they want. I sleep crazy hours anyways. But we can have more cooperation between families, media, YouTubers, Faceburgers, and get it all kind of, and the mainstream media. So get everybody working together. Right? Because that's how we're going to solve this. The public inquiry system, in my experience, I feel I've demonstrated that. And I guess you can see how it's unfolding for yourselves, right? But if you go back in the past, you will see same thing. Very big problems. It's a sham. It's a way to keep prolonging. And as you prolong, it's like lawfare. I understand this from a legal standpoint. Lawfare is you drag it out until that person is essentially bankrupt because they cannot fight in court anymore. And they'll just concede. The same thing applies with these kinds of things. You make it so emotionally difficult and so taxing on a person, so many documents. Jesus, I was just reading. Oh wow, yeah. I was reading a case that's going on right now where a person has requested 18,000 documents from the RCMP. The RCMP has flooded them. So if they're requesting 18,000, you can imagine, that's documents, not pages, documents, how much that they have flooded that person with. And what they'll do is it's just lawfare. It's the same thing. And the inquiry is the same thing. We'll just take it forever. It'll be so hard on people. That's what a good lawyer will always tell you. If you want to start this, it will cost you time. It will emotionally cost you. If you want to fight this truly, it's going to emotionally cost you. Are you prepared to go down that road? Time, money, and emotion. And you might not win. So lots of people just say, I can't deal with it anymore. Let's give in. This is what we're dealing with. However, I believe that we can get accountability more by, funnily enough, drawing attention to problems publicly so that people just generally are aware of what is going on. Who's the justice? But whose justice are you obstructing, ours or the Corporation of Canada? The Corporation of Canada, essentially, though, at its root, right, is us. We're the ones who bankroll it with our, I'm not going to get into other stuff right now, but we bankroll this. Awesome interview. Hopefully it leads to more people speaking out. Agreed, Cheryl. I totally agree. The end has arrived. Well, something is happening. Something is happening. Thank you for sharing on Facebook groups. Again, I welcome the ability to work with others as long as they aren't RCMP garbage, because lots of people, this is another element. People think of RCMP, they see gravel road cop, guys with a radar gun, and that's what they see. Or the guys up north stationed way the hell off in nowhere, getting PTSD'd out of their minds and not supported. In reality, the RCMP is a highly organized intelligence unit. Prior to CSIS, the RCMP was our spy agency and still is. This is why we're seeing the issues going on right now with what is his name? It's eluding me right now. Paulson and this spy stuff. Very big story that's kind of brewing around in the background. Spy, RCMP, secrets. Let's see if that'll come up with something. Ortiz, Cameron Ortiz. I don't know if those of you who are not familiar with Cameron Ortiz, very, very, very big story. Why is this not working? There we go. Something like that. Does that work? Boom. Okay. Cameron Ortiz. Cameron Ortiz, who is friends, very good personal friends, this man who has no qualifications, became the head of Canada's spy organization within the RCMP. Okay. And he was best friends with Bob Paulson. Drinking, smoking buddies with Bob Paulson. Bob and Cam. Does not have the qualifications, does not have the experience, did not rise through the ranks of the RCMP. Just shooed right in. Who, this has to do something to morale within the RCMP. To have people just, hey, come on in, you're my friend. And I know you've been here for 30 years. It doesn't matter. You're not part of the white shirt crowd. You haven't sold your soul. They don't want you. They don't want you. They will mess with you and screw you until, you're out. And there are so many great RCMP people who have 30 plus years experience within the RCMP who are quite willing to stand up and say that this organization that they were so proudly served, that wanted to protect Canadians and serve Canadians, has really stabbed them in the back. And they're crazy stories. There's one individual it's a very peripheral thing that I've looked at, one of zillions, but an individual who did something that made white shirt mad. And so what happened to him? Well, his car got burned. So he was like, oh, okay, I'll go and rent a new car. Well, that got burned. And then they turned around and charged him with insurance fraud. this is kind of sneaky, dirty games that they will play. Very sad. Thanks, Ozzy, for sharing. Appreciate that. Wonder what kind of spin the state media FE would pull out their documentary. I'm not sure who FE is. Maybe you can help me with that. My dad's friend is RCMP, and this really messed him up. Transferred to Alaska to finish out his 3 years so he could leave the force. Like, see, this is very sad. Should we not be supporting and taking care of our employees? I want to. I want to have safe communities. I don't want to have people who are undertrained. This is the thing. Another element. Another big element. And yes, Brenda Lucky was in charge of Depot 2016 until she was appointed. There she is sitting at Depot with Justin Trudeau. Friends, and this is not a political issue, by the way. I have a problem with all political parties. So I'm seeing Thanksgiving thoughts coming through. Thanksgivings. I like Thanksgivings. Hopefully everybody's had some turkey and stuffing. I'm going to have turkey and stuffing hopefully tomorrow, but I don't know. Who knows what happens here. I just saw something about systemic stuff. See, there's another one. Where has Paul Palango been? Wait for the McMillan story. The proof is in the pudding. See what gets left on the cutting room floor. But of course, is that her? Is that the higher ups? And I think we kind of all know the answer to that. It rubs me the wrong way, though. You can't be part of something and not say something. If it's not your decision, fair enough. But you have to say, I'm not going to be involved with that. I'm really no, sorry. You can find somebody else, and we have to ostracize it out so that all of a sudden there's very little people, and now all of a sudden we've got it all figured out who's doing what. If you stay involved with something and you're silent, that's complicity to me. But I come from a very different moral set maybe than some. Nova Scotia guy. So helpful, so awesome. Thank you for helping with that and setting that up and getting everything all. Another really big helper right here is how do you do this? That right there. Woo, look at that. I got it. You avoided turkey coma and made mussels and shrimp. Uh-oh, I can't deal with that because I'd have to touch it. But I do like seafood. Where has Paul Palango been? Another book. No, Paul Palango. There's lots going on there. But he's retired. He's retired. He's doing this on his own thing, right? Just like I think a lot of people, funnily enough, are. They're just doing it out of the goodness of their heart. I cooked goose today for the first time today. Pretty greasy. Tastes good. Is it? Yeah. Goose is good. Except for the shot sometimes. It gets a little bit in your teeth. You got to be careful. We made smoked pepperettes. I have no idea what that is. I'm guessing that's peppers. Okay. Food. We're getting into food. So, let's see. I'm going to show, can I do that without giving anything away? I'm going to show a comment by Nova Scotia guy. He sent me one day. I think, yeah, I can do this. right? It's not going to give anything away. Because it's just funny. So he said, this is the kind of stuff he does with me. He's like, you know where I'm heading? Because at 9 o'clock Atlantic time, I always know he's going to be eating because he eats late. So he eats good food. He used to be like me in the old days. I used to, I still do, but not such a connoisseur anymore. But he's like, prime rib, whatever. So he sends me this. You know where I'm heading tonight? That's just out of the blue. Prime rib is circled. I'm like, yeah, okay, thanks, man. Appreciate that. Like almost every day. Oh yeah, you know what I'm eating tonight? Investigation server. This is something I'm going to start talking about. Is the O drive servers of the RCMP. Anybody heard of those? I hadn't. Things get stashed on the O drive servers. Oh, and yeah, that's how far we'll look. We'll just keep digging. Or you can stand up and do the right thing and start telling the truth. All of it. Otherwise, it's just going to be more and more and more. So I know a couple people who will be very interested in that. Mossad. Don't forget the systemic rape culture. Yes, that is a problem. The systemic rape problem within the white shirts and the sexual harassment, and they protect each other. Burnett, there's a really great one. Ooh, and this causes people to. I mean, when we're talking about some of this stuff with the RCMP, sadly, the mental illness rate within the RCMP is quite high. I'm not meaning that as a judgmental thing. This is kind of the stress that they're put under and what they will do to their own members. And the members who are watching this know exactly what I'm talking about, because they probably know somebody who this has happened to. And it's disgusting. It's honestly sick to know that my tax dollars, your tax dollars, go towards furthering that kind of crap, to driving people somewhere that they shouldn't be, that they weren't. Very, very sick. Very, very sick. So I believe the discharge rate is in the neighborhood of 30% for PTSD. Okay, now obviously you're going to get some people in there with PTSD that is maybe not totally legitimate, but there is a high percentage of people who have been subjected to some very horrible things within the RCMP. And that is because they speak out. And once they speak out, that's a problem. However, if you have enough of you, and you have the support of the Canadian people, then this turns around. Just like the systemic rape does. We'll get rid of that. Talking about racism, screw off. You are what you're really hiding from. There are racist cops, and they need to be removed. But what he's talking about here, Todd's talking about, 100% exists. Canadians have paid over $2.3 billion in settlements, billion with a B, in sexual harassment cases against the RCMP. This is a very serious issue. And of course, what does that do to women? And again, you're going to have a couple in there that are, it's not the legit thing. They're doing something else. But there's a very serious problem, and it causes people, these PTSD issues or rape issues go to the extent, quite literally, that people do kill themselves. That's very wrong. Who were perfectly sane people will go to the RCMP detachment in Red Surge. Right there at the flagpole. You don't hear about it in the media because they don't want to tell you about it. I'm not going to support that. He does have, yes, he has lots of great contacts, and it's just more pooling resources, just pool these things together. You know, we all have to, and I'm not saying that on Paul's side. I'm absolutely not saying that. I do see that with a couple of people who I will not, of course, name, but there are people who have egos and things like that tied into this, or money. Fuck off. This is not about that. You can deal with that some other day when we've got things cleaned up. You can't do that at this point in time. Paul's not like that, though. His observations totally discredited. Yeah, I believe, you know, and he's saying, you know, I don't know 100%, but I looked at what I saw. I looked at the demeanor. We all know how people are. And for sure, this warrant here, the latest one, indicates in it, she was crawling around in the dirt. And the trees out there are something, they're like fences. You can't get through them. I know that. I know that at least from people who have gone down there on my behalf very kindly. And Leon spoke about it. Many people have spoken to me about it. It's very thick. You can't just wander around in the bush, you know, and in your yoga suit and remain untouched for 8 hours when no. Not getting hypothermia, not getting a scratch on you, not getting dirt on your pants. On your pants. How can you say in here you've got dirt on your pants and yet there's not even nothing on you? Nothing. Which one of those is true? Frankly, the organization that has lied consistently throughout this story and has obfuscated from telling the truth, despite their claims of saying, oh, I'm going to be transparent, it's very important to us, blah, 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 who turns around and lies to you constantly. Or are you going to listen to a guy who has lost 8 friends and really could be saying a lot of other things, but he just says, this is the way I saw it. And that's not what I saw at all. And that's what I've told everybody. And that's what I told them. Which helps which? Do you think Lisa's story helps the RCMP? Do you think, do you think that, think about this logically, everything is logical. You're trying to save lives. Is that correct? That was what the RCMP want? Save lives at Portapique. Okay? They send down an armored vehicle. This was the only time that things were getting done, to the best of my understanding. That seems to be supported by Mr. Ellison's statement. A couple of others that I've Mr. Ellison's is very public. There are a couple of people I have spoken to who have supported that. Now, once they get their armored vehicle and they feel all safe and cozy, they go in and they'll pick up Lisa. They will pick up Lisa with Leon right in front of them and not say, hey, buddy, You're in danger too. We're going to take you. No, they kept them separated. Why? Maybe like her coat. Maybe like why you never see her. Maybe like Brenda. All of that helps the RCMP. Don't look at us, the Liam Nielsen. Nothing to see here. It's over there. It's that crazy misogynist, fire-burning guy over there. He's just totally lunatic, and we did everything great here. Watch our cars drive around while we don't support Harry Bond, who makes an application. I noticed that. They have edited that video. I don't think I got that one, the original form of it, where he said in the media, CTV, he said, RCMP said, this was, we were trying to work together with the families on this. And he said, no, they didn't. They never contacted me. That's a total lie. He said that. Harry said that. It was in the CTV original interview. It is now since been removed. Like the Clinton Ellison story goes from 9 minutes to 8 minutes to now 7 minutes, where it sounds like he just lost his phone. He's the one who has the problem. Why would you say that all these people have problems? Maybe it's you. White shirts. Deflection. Psychology. Deflection. It's you that has the problem. Quit blowing it off. Irresponsibility. I don't like irresponsibility. I like responsible. I like truthful. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Let's stand up and say it. I'm wrong. Probably wrong. I'm probably wrong about the story on the road. Highly likely. Highly likely. Okay, move along. I don't keep saying I'm right, I'm right, I'm right. Look at me. No. Sure wish you could have a guest on chat and chat about Leon interview. We're all I can give. Let me see. Let me just give you. I'll check. I don't know. What am I doing here? I'm looking for this one. Yes, be much better than listening to my blather, right? Even though I think I've made a few good points along the way. I communicate in Chinese, though. It's very clear. Which is sad. I don't think people hear what I'm saying. Kara's at her is enjoying Thanksgiving at her sister's place. So I'm probably not going to disturb her tonight on that one. Just leave her be. I try and just leave her be. And I do phone her once in a while. But once every couple of days, I suppose, should be accurate. Too bad the victims' families didn't have zeros behind their name. If anything I've learned, a little wealth goes a long way with white shirts. Anyone else shop liver. Yeah, if you've got influence, that's going to do it. Also, I've learned if you catch police in corruption, you can drive without insurance, as they will never pull you over. They know you're trying to get arrested purposefully for a lawyer. There was another interesting statement I read. by an RCMP person who's suing the RCMP right now. And he said, listen, the way that you have this set up, in fact, that you have quote unquote ongoing investigations, right? They like this one. I don't want to publicly advertise this. Good. Okay, we'll have a guest here. Is that, how about this? I love the logic in the law in the legal briefings, and it was coming from RCMP. Remember, how about this? If we're, say, an organized crime group, unnamed, who the RCMP say they don't want to be investigated. The organized crime group obviously doesn't want to be investigated. How about they sue the RCMP? Because then there's an ongoing investigation all the time. And then nothing happens. Very interesting. I think once lawsuits are over, let's just give him a call. Doodaloo. They got to be able to endure a long legal fight.
Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
Happy Thanksgiving, brother.
Happy Thanksgiving to you too.
All right. So those of you who don't know, this is Cage. How are you doing tonight?
Yeah, just taking her easy. I did up pork loin. So
Yeah.
a little bit different than turkey, but yeah, no, it's good.
Good.
Take her easy.
Yep. And you had some fresh veggies?
Oh yeah, fresh out of the garden.
Cage has quite a garden. So you obviously were watched the interview. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I was there for roughly the first hour or so. And it was, again, I did do some comments in the chat, but for me, again, it was just his experience, the way he was treated, the fact that they lost his number, the fact that on the evening, didn't seem like they were trying to protect residents. They were questioning them, but then they would just leave. And even once they got him and others to safety, to one of the safe locations, they just let them go. And no indication of where this guy was or what he was doing. And Leon even said that he drove through Debert before the two nurses were killed. So, that's just one person that we're hearing from. I mean, how many other, and of course, the one nurse was killed because there was no word, there was no warning at all. And so how many other people were in danger or possibly in danger, that it didn't need to be that way, so that was one thing. The other thing is, again, right off the bat, we were trying to find locals to give us information on, the area, the roads, all those things. And like we were going off Google Earth. Mm-hmm. And when we talked about the road, and he says he walks it every day, and he said about a year ago they did a bunch of work to clean it up. But you can't tell that on Google Earth. But even with that, again, so to answer your question, I guess, is that, again, what it is that, there was huge mistakes from the very first moment made by the RCMP. Some of them are mistakes that never should have happened. Others were mistakes in the minute. It all led to a lot of people getting killed. And You go back before that, and it just never should have happened. This guy should have been dealt with a long time ago. And now we have someone who can't even enjoy his home. He can't even enjoy his, anything.
No.
He's living through this.
He's not, to my understanding, obviously I don't want to answer on his behalf, but to my understanding, he's not returning. He's not returning.
Yeah.
Just as many of the residents have been selling a lot of the properties now that are, funnily enough, are for sale. Back to what you were saying, what you were saying there earlier. Yes, they didn't clear any of the properties. They didn't clear anything. Like, he's got his garage door open, to which, I can, if anybody's wondering about that one, in the earlier interview, there was a lot more questions that I asked. And I asked if the garage was heated, and he said no. So it's not like Lisa was hiding out in a heated garage or something like that. But didn't clear the garage, didn't check anything in the house, didn't do anything. They just come in and take Lisa and take her, and then on their way. Now he's left to fend for himself. Of course, he's quite capable of doing that, but we all know that there are lots of people that weren't able to do that. And then they send him right back into the danger zone. And he's driving around without, going through any blockades. No wonder this man was driving around for 13 hours, because he wasn't stopped. I think there were a couple of points that he was there. I still do hold true to that there were possibly some blockades that he got through. There were some asinine blockades that were done, though, too. Like the blockade just north of the airport, North Highway 102, south of the big stop. Why do you have that blockaded? He's not coming from Dartmouth, but they have the southbound totally open. And that's on video.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, there was so much disarray, communications-wise, with the RCMP that night, different radio channels, everything else. It very well could have been that whoever was in charge of the detachment in that area was somebody that said, okay, we're going to do something and do this. I mean, I don't know. I'm just speculating. But, no, it's crazy. It's asinine, like you say. It's just, I just couldn't help kind of vibrating the whole time listening to him, because all the stuff we've found out and everything we've, everybody on the Discord and everybody you've been talking to and the people that have been contributing and the people in the chats and everything all put together from the very moment we stepped into this journey. And, again, this man's life has been totally interrupted. Many of all the people that live there, of course, many people in the area, and then the families, the friends, the really close friends of these people, et cetera, et cetera. And the other part he brought up, and I think we've all been there before as well, is yes, how many good RCMP are also just mentally, emotionally in total disarray. Especially ones that were there and probably still have to, service that area every day. This whole thing is just a cloud of, I can't even think of a word bad enough to put to it.
Yes. And they didn't seem to have any purpose other than taking care of Miss Lisa. And then building her a story and building themselves a story, and anybody else that was there, well, they're fodder, including their own members. It seems like, well, and that does seem to hold true.
It does. I mean, everybody knows about Heidi. We've been able to find out about other officers that were injured, other injuries that people have found out about that aren't being reported. Amongst the members that were dealing with this that night. Then, of course, there's a gentleman that apparently Wortman shot from his cruiser on the road. It didn't kill him, and he reported it to police that night.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing, like, how many people have not come forward out of either shock or fear? You know, I heard shots. And that's everything from not just the Port of Pitt, but every crime scene. Mm-hmm. And look at how widespread the crime scenes were across that area of the province. I mean, just about a third of Nova Scotia is covered in these crime scenes, and that's a lot of people that I heard this, or I thought I knew this, or they even just had a bad feeling.
Yep. Exactly.
You know.
And on that note, you do raise an interesting thing. I will ask Leon again, but I'm pretty sure, and this is the thing. Like, he's being really awesome by coming forward and telling his story, but at the same time, he's saying this is really traumatic to me, and I've heard the traumatic parts of it, or some of them, coming from him, and it does something to him. When I forgot to press record, he said, I was wired all night. Like, it did something. Reliving this stuff is hard for me to do. So on that note, I would implore people not to inundate him with requests and this kind of stuff. He is concerned about that. I know we want answers, but we can get those, but we can do them in a way that's respectful, just as the family members. We can do that. We can get these answers more than likely if we don't just sit and hammer on people with questions. Yeah.
And again, he was talking about friends and family and his dogs and everything. And I hope that even tonight's conversation with you and Nova Scotia Guy was helpful. I hope it was a way to ease the pain, bring some closure, let some weight off the chest, all of that, really, honestly.
The closure part, no, I don't think so, but he did indicate, and that was why, he was pretty... he's been pretty, because the interview we did, I don't know, when was that? Three or four nights ago, and I was doing a bunch of other stuff with it, and then I'm like, to hell with that. Like, I'm just going to leave it in his own words, the way it is, and not interrupt it at all, because I have a tendency to do that. But as you well know, but he's very, it's very important for him to get that message out. And I do really hope that other people will carry that message. He was quite keen on that. He's like, how many people are going to be watching? And I said, there's going to be a few people watching, and we'll try and get it up as many people as we can. So that I don't think I asked people publicly for a lot of things, money. I definitely never asked for money or anything like that, but, or likes or subscribes or whatever. People want to do that, that's great. However, I think on this one, if you could share that video, just so that you give that to him, because he's given something really big to us. Nova Scotia Guy did phenomenal footwork with all that. He is a very, Leon's quite a friendly guy. But we need to do what we can to help him. And that's one of the things that he's asked for is, can please help me carry my message forward. Same thing with Sharon in the fire hall. And she said, I want people to know what the truth of this was, because I'm not being heard here. We got all of a sudden, Branda Forbes with Gerster and her book deal and all that, which is very sketchy. We get to hear her, no problem. But I'll tell you, the people who were endangered and really suffered through a lot of stuff, not obviously quite to the level of the families, nowhere near that level, but but suffered, were not protected, and not heard. In fact, endangered.
No, that's exactly it. Yeah. You know, I just, again, like, you know, the point he brought up is, you know, the way he was treated, guns pointed at him, they came to his house, they didn't check for safety. I mean, Wortman could have been hiding around the corner, you know, with a gun, holding this guy at bay. They didn't know, they didn't try to know, they didn't look.
But it seems interesting.
That should have, you know,
it seems
the scene and then for him to finally get to the hall and get to safety, and then, you know, be gone in his vehicle, you know, and then they can't find his number. Then they want his information on, who lives here and who lives there, you know. So, you know, can't bring up Google Earth, can't bring up properties, bullshit.
Here, draw some
I think
map.
that was soft interrogation technique. I think doing that was another form of soft interrogation technique to see if they could get more out of him, feed off or more, or slip up somehow, something would come out of his head. I mean, that kind of stuff, they have all that. And for them to tell him they didn't, and that for me, I found that disturbing, and that's what I wrote in the comment section, because I think that they did that for a reason other than, you know, being helpful. Myself, anyway. They have all kinds of techniques they use when they're asking questions, doing interrogation. In fact, he did mention that they had him for 2 hours in a room.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, they definitely were asking him a lot of questions. They asked him some at the fire hall, to the best of my understanding. He said it was all a blur. Again, I mean, this is like returning, you know, without being gory or anything like that, but Joey Weber's body, the condition that it was going in the car to the tow lot. This is where is the thought behind this? You do not. I see something very different than a lot of people probably do, but you do, even on just a humanitarian, very basic level, you would never send somebody who is in trauma and shock out on the road. You would say, stay, you have to stay. It's unsafe out here. You've got to stay with us where you're safe. And back to your point there, I think that's really interesting. I know I speak Chinese, and this point will probably come up later, and somebody will be like, oh, but why is it that they can go through and they pick up Lisa and they don't clear anything and they know that there's no problem? They don't need to worry about everything. Everything seems safe.
Well, not only that, but they got a pair of shoes for her from him. They got a jacket, and then they just discard the jacket.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's so like show.
Seen it and got it back, you know. So again, you know, they took the time to come get her, you know, everything else. Why, at that moment in time, did they not? And that was a tactical team, if I remember the conversation correctly, or at least the tactical team was at his door. So why did they not follow proper procedure, which has been around for a very long time, and remove him from the premises and go in and clear it? You know, that one thing right there.
I guess they didn't need to worry about it for some reason. Like Dave Lilly, Sergeant Dave Lilly, though I'm finding that statement, it's also, because that's I'm sure you're familiar with the statement that he made in the Globe and Mail, Sergeant Lilly, where he said he stood on the side of the road there in his red Surge the next, was it the next day or the day after? And so he's kind of like a neon sign. And then the reporters asked him questions, and he said, well, you know, we all went home. We all got sent home at 6:30 because 7 o'clock, because we were kind of told that he committed suicide. And that's what we thought. Now, he should have got a code of conduct for that. Like, that's a very serious offense. Speaking without derp, lady, whatever her name is. You have to speak through a spokesperson. The RCMP can't just have officers running around speaking, which frankly I think is a bunch of junk too. But you can't have, you can't have that. You're going to get in serious trouble. But Dave Lilly, here he is in the Globe and Mail, where the RCMP do have some pull in the media, and they're allowed to kind of probably get rid of some article. No, they say that's fine, leave it there. It seems as though they just want to come. No, not seems. To me, on my personal opinion, it's always been, we want to appear as incompetent. Incompetent. This is why we used the Twitter. We just didn't know. No, you knew exactly what the hell was going down, and it was just let's just keep it off the radar and keep him locked down there in Portapique, and maybe he will deal with himself. And then all of a sudden they're getting phone calls. And that was when the Twitter fired up. It's the timing. The Twitter fired up only after they started to get the 911 calls that other people were dead. Otherwise, you never would have heard shit.
No.
You know, and it was because other people started getting murdered, and now all of a sudden they have more to deal with. They have more accountability that they have to answer to. So now they're in this cat and mouse game again. So they're like, oh, okay, we'll get ahead of that. We'll use the Twitter now. We'll say we'll show his face, and we'll say his name, even though we've known all night, according to the warrant.
Yeah, and the thing is too, I mean, now, again, here we are months later, and they're still, making excuses, deflecting, not telling all the truth. It's just, and the answers aren't out there. And I don't think we're ever going to get the answers. I think they're just going to keep trying to bury this. I think I think they hope everybody is distracted with COVID and the American election and the fact that, people are out of work, on and on. I think they're just happy that there's so much strife going on right now and that this could get buried. But because that's the way they're acting like it, and that's the way they're treating people.
Yeah, and they will. This is why they did, to me, strategically, I see things as strategy. It's just chess, right? And it's all strategy plays. So that's why Bill Blair was stalling and stalling. It was lawfare. Oh, I'll have that specially constructed bullshit I've got that, and I've got it now as soon as you do the first rally. And then as soon as they're going to do another rally, because that was 5 days that separated between the review to the inquiry, garbage inquiry, which they've got now, right? And then as soon as that was going to, another protest was going to go down, not the one in Halifax, not the feminist organized one, not the professional deflection one, the actual one in Bridgewater, I believe it is. Where the families were going to go to and did go to, is that Blair? Who is that office? Is that Fury's office there? Then they're like, oh, guess what? Here we go. It's in our back pocket again, even though it's taken months. And then what does that do to the families? The families are like, oh, okay, we've got the inquiry. We're okay. Problem is that the families, I think, sadly, and I'm not pointing fingers or trying to say anything bad or negative about anybody. It's just experience. The families are going to think, okay, we've got the inquiry and we've got a lawsuit going and we're going to get the answers. And the problem is they're not, because that inquiry is, number one, controlled. And number two, it was all strategy to give them that at that point so that they say to the public, which Mr. Beaton did, thank you for coming out. We've got what we wanted. We don't need you anymore. Now all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, okay, we can go home now. And now all the public support is gone. 8 months from now, 8 months from now, I can see it in my head, probably 8 months from now, though there are going to be family members who are not going to be too happy because they're going to be like, oh, we need public support now. We need help because we didn't get what we wanted. These people screwed us again. And all of a sudden, everybody's gone.
Yeah. And the reason that the families have gone the way they did this far is because, again, most people believe that the RCMP and the government are helping us. They're here for us. They're supposed to do these things. The general public is beginning to find out, oops, we've kind of been duped on this.
Yep.
Things aren't that way.
Yeah, we've been duped the whole time on all of these things. They just, whether it's, what is it, Braidwood, or it's Moncton, or any of these things, the Quebec Mosque one, any of these big ones, they always screw us. They always tell us, oh, but even the small ones, we're going to get you the answers, but we're not going to tell you anything, and trust us, and you can't. But then you just find out, oh, they're getting assistant commissioners getting found in contempt of Parliament. They will lie. They will lie in court. They lied in court right after this, and they were found guilty. Then they were found up in Truro with the case of, what is her name? And who reported to the RCMP, please come and help me because my neighbor, oh no, you're a menace to society. Then they fudged the paperwork on that. I uncovered something today. I should maybe just show this because I'm curious what you would think of this. It was just a line of reasoning I have going on something. So let's see here. Okay.
There's just a slight lag between the phone call and the video, but go ahead. Okay.
So this is a court document from the Rundell case. I don't know, probably, how do I get this bigger? And in it, he talks about the 18,000 documents. I received well below the 18,000 documents, and hundreds were dated after the inquiry concluded. Then that made me think for a moment. Okay, so they were dated after. Okay. RCMP backlogged with access to information staff from its own staff. Okay, so that they say that, well, we can't answer any questions because we're backlogged with all kinds of documents that we have to, because rightfully so, there are a lot of pissed off RCMP members, but then they say, well, we can't answer anything because we're so backlogged with all these requests. Then you factor in this piece, unacceptable, that the RCMP fabricated response to ATIP Goodall. RCMP admits tardy ATIP were backdated. Do you see? It's like a circle that they do. They'll say, well, we can't give that to you because we don't have the time. Then we're going to backdate the dates, and then we're going to say that it was flooded. So we have to backdate them. Do you understand the logic?
Totally. Yeah, just full circle like they do with everything else. Just keep the wheel rolling. This just got no rim for you to be able to control anything. This is crazy. They're doing this to their own members internally. And okay, now here's the thing. How much of that was done on purpose so there was a backlog?
Exactly. They just do these things on purpose to say, well, sorry, we can't. Just as we say, we can't answer questions because there's an ongoing investigation into a dead man.
Yeah.
So we'll never be able to answer that. Or we can't answer questions about the findings of ACERT in the Dunphy thing, because we can't answer questions about that because that's ACERT's department. And all of the findings, in fact, said that that was true, that we did our investigation properly. Bullshit. The ACERT request said specifically, and this is spooky, this is the kind of shit that they deal with, as in And ACERT, again, is another police organization. So it's done by police. Obviously, they're going to be saying good things. And they say, oh, well, it was very unfortunate that you had a technical error in the recording so that it didn't record the interview with the officer who shot Mr. Don Dunphy. But it was equally unfortunate that you didn't have the backup notes, which you're supposed to always have. You didn't take them.
Now, you see, something else here with this, I just realized, is that as far as this backlog of information and them saying that even internally there was all kinds of requests for information, well, you know what? That gets squashed at the detachment level for sure, because if you're not directly involved in the investigation, stay the hell out of it. That's first of all. Second of all, if you do have something to contribute, it's again, everything is right there. All those officers have to do is there is a system in place, and they would then contact whoever the investigating officers are, the exact, all that. For them to say that there's a backlog for all this internal requests of information, that to me sounds like, oh, here's a good excuse. Let's put this out and see if they swallow it. Because when it comes right down to it, no, that's not how it works.
100%. Yep. And they cut their staff. That was another one I found. Sorry, I didn't put that in. They cut the staff at the ATIP office. They cut it so that they couldn't deal with as many cases.
COVID.
So, no. This was prior to COVID. This is old.
That was prior to that.
No, prior to COVID. Yeah, so we cut our staff down. So then we can say, well, we can't deal with as many cases. So then we're going to have to lie about the cases. So then we can't actually fulfill the requirements. It's like ACERT. Why do you have, if you have such a backlog on cases, which, I mean, funnily enough, they've come out with cases that have happened since August. CERT down in Nova Scotia, the shit, has come out with findings since August. What the hell are they doing? They have 3 months, and they still haven't come out with anything to do with the 2 investigations that they've got ongoing in Nova Scotia. Funny that. Oh, but we don't have the staff, will be their excuse. It is their excuse. We don't have the staff. We're sorry. But they happen to get to things that were earlier in August. They have things that happen in August, they've already have findings on. But the one from April, the 2, they don't have those. Seems like you don't want to do things.
Yeah, that does not fly at all.
No, they're just lying. They're just lying. Like it's just the whole thing is a sham. And we have to understand that this business about that they are here to help, that they'll rip their own fucking members off. I did a story on Morneau and RCMP and the pensions. And they were ripping off their own members out of their pension funds.
Oh yeah, that's just normal. It's they're just like the military in the way that I mean, if a person just quietly does their job and finishes their career and retires and gets their pension, yay. But if they get hurt on the job, if there's some kind of situation, anything like that, they'll do everything they can to screw the guy out of it. And then no, it's just like any other union. They'll ask you to reinvest, and that kind of shit too. Well, here's a new thing that's gonna, blah blah blah. Right? That kind of shit happens too. So
okay,
it's just painfully.
Here's another one. Okay, so the idea that ATIP requests, right? So you can make access to information requests and then get them, which of course they will do. What do they do? Oh yes, let's see. What do they do with that? Like they do these kinds of things, like that. You know, this is actually illegal. I believe what this is illegal, but I haven't talked to my lawyer. Anyway, do we all know about the secret servers in Hillary Clinton's bathroom?
Yeah.
Okay, so now if something isn't on their quote official servers, then how are you ever going to request it, right? It's hidden off on a dark planet. Here's another one. It actually goes on much further, but I'll just read the beginning part of it. I submitted to RCMP Assistant Commissioner Eric Stubbs an email message detailing this information, which was from, in part, Exhibit R. Quote, I was informed by a reliable source in February 2020 training program, a National Commanding Officer, NCO, acknowledged to a group of approximately 30 RCMP members that NCOs and senior members of management utilized secure O drives on a computer network server to communicate covertly about employees. Copied on my message to Stubbs, Shirley Heafy was formerly the chair of RCMP Public Complaints Commission. Okay, that's people, if you want to complain, you got a problem with them, that's who you complain to. Heafy, formerly. In response to my message to Stubbs, Heafy submitted to me a message detailing her knowledge of a secret RCMP senior management controlled computer drive, which stated in part as follows, quote, this is from Heafy, what you have said in the latest email message secret O drives used by the RCMP leadership has existed for a long time and continues to this day, no doubt. I inadvertently became aware of the existence of this drive used by leadership when I conducted oversight of the RCMP for 10 years. I am not too sure if they called the O drive back when it was called the O drive back when Zach was a commissioner, but it existed for sure. No surprise, that's Zach Araldi. So that's a long time ago. No surprise, given that the RCMP leadership has a way of hiding responsibility for its failures, as well as having a tool to harass members who might decide to expose leadership failures. Boom!
That sounds more like the mafia than a police organization.
Secret O drive servers. Do you think that all of the fucking Nova Scotia shit went onto the secret O drive servers so that nobody could ever do an ATIP request on it? Despite their fucking bullshit, backlogged garbage? No. You're never even going to get it because it doesn't, quote, exist. It's on Hillary Clinton's servers in her bathroom. It's on Zach Araldi and fucking Paulson's secret O drives. And now Lucky's. These people are into some serious shit.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's rampant and widespread. I mean, all you got to do is just wait for a week to go by and see what Trudeau does wrong next, and then watch everything get covered up and realize it's never ending. Doesn't matter how serious it is. Look, we get comments from around the world about what's going on in Canada.
Oh, Cashion. I didn't realize Cashion was out. He's the only civilian member, Judge Cashion. Sorry, anyway, my apologies.
Yeah, like hearing it all the time, and for a while now, but especially the last 3 years, is what the hell's going on in Canada? You know, and it's just rampant.
It's been going on.
Kind of stuff is happening in New Zealand. Same kind of stuff is happening in Scotland.
Isn't it funny that this happens all over the world? Globalization. Isn't it funny how everybody is doing the same crap? Like, we think that these issues are localized. Like, I don't want to get into political issues, but look at the political issues that we suffer are the same political issues that Australia suffers. That is the same political issues that the United States roughly suffers, is the same political issues that the UK suffers, or anybody in the EU. Anybody in the developed world is roughly suffering, in the Western developing world is suffering the same things. One has to wonder, just like Todd said, is there something else going on here? Is it Canada, or are we talking about something much, much bigger?
I think it's a lot bigger.
Yeah.
We've had conversations.
Sixth eye, man, the sixth eye. Todd knows. But I mean, that's next level stuff that it takes people a long time to get to. I mean, if we can get to the stage where we understand, at least to begin with, that the RCMP are not, and I don't like these. I know that these words float around. My apologies. Sorry, I know you're on the phone, but you can see what I'm talking about here in a minute. I don't like these global cabal garbage. It's invented by the same people. They have fucking names.
Yeah.
They want to remain anonymous. That's the O drive for them. You call them globalists, you call them Chi-Coms, you call them UNs, you call them whatever, then nobody can do anything about it, because you're like, well, what am I going to do? I don't even know who those people are. No, they all have fucking names. Put names on them. Call them out. I like that. They don't like that. That's why they don't like this fucking channel. Anyway, but understanding that the RCMP, for those who are busy with lots of things in their lives and maybe not quite at the same speed, and that's not, I'm not saying that in an insulting way. It's just like, you go to a dentist, they know your teeth. Some people have studied a little bit more than other people, but understanding that everybody can pretty much concede our world is going to hell in a handbasket. What's happening here, I don't think anybody really wants. Now, how do you get out of that? And in this particular issue, you're talking about something actually, funnily enough, that people can do something about, because we can get rid of the top echelons of crap and start really putting our faith behind members who are on the ground, who are doing a good job, and saying, we support you. You can come out and talk to us. You can come out and talk. If the media wants to bury you, there's going to be alternate ways to come out. And people are going to listen. And people are going to support you. They're going to stand behind you. And more are going to come forward. Hopefully this is like the Leon type thing, or Sharon. It is a slow, very slow but steady process, but it does need to speed up, because the strategy behind this stuff, and when I get the web out, like the spider web, and start showing the connections to people, and I know I've talked to you about a bunch of them, they're pretty fucking spooky, man. You know that. These people are all interconnected.
The one place, as much as you, like you say, the good officers and everything else, the one place where the people, us, need to direct the majority of our attention first is the media. Not the politicians, not the police, the media. Once you force them,
they're owned.
to do their
We have to demand. But again, this is something. This has got to be something much. The game plan has to change, because you can't ask your politicians to break up something that they're a part of. They've sold their souls. The huge media conglomerates, because lots of people don't understand that, say, Post Media owns almost all of your newspapers. Down in the East Coast, it's Saltwire, and they own almost all the same papers. It's the same fucking articles that run in all the different quote unquote right, left wing papers, because they own those. So you're just hearing the same message. Sometimes yet they try to play off one another and hyperinflate problems. Here's another interesting one. I mean, there's lots of them. Let's see here. Where is it here? Okay, no. Where is it? Okay, the RCMP, I'm not sure where that is. RCMP officers are told. Okay, RCMP officers told not to wear a symbol depicting thin blue line. Okay, so they're told not to support each other. They can't wear anything to say support each other. However, they will be allowed to go to New York City. This one is the Vancouver Pride Parade, or New York City, or Toronto. They are ordered to go to these things. And then you have fundamental shifts in thinking, culture, leadership styles, inclusive organization. Well, if it's inclusive, why can't they support themselves? You can't do that. It's very malicious. It's very destructive. They are intentionally, and I know this sounds something like this to some people, like, why would they do that? The question why is not something to get into even, but they're intentionally imploding their own organizations. They want them to be destroyed, just like they do down in the United States with the police organizations there, just like they do. It's worldwide, because police actually, funnily enough, the guys who are on the ground, the good guys, they have to be demoralized and destroyed, and because they may support people, funnily enough. They may be like, well, you know what? I don't like this. I don't like my shitty society either. I'm going to support people, and I'm not going to beat people down and arrest them and do stupid things. I'm going to take care of them.
No, I know, and the thing is too is the way they structure the police forces, especially in Commonwealth countries, especially here in Canada, because we're so spread out, and we have so few of them really. In relation, there really are so few. Even when not just the RCMP, add up all the police officers in Canada, and we're knocking on the door of a population of 40 million people, and it's just they're just asked to do too much. Then the screws are put on their thumbs, so they can't do anything. And then if they actually do. They get treated worse than anybody else. Just like years and years ago. I mean, you get all the evidence together, you do everything, you get into court, and the prosecutor and the judges make you look like shit.
Yep. I mean, what's inclusive about diversity? Because that it is bizarre world. When you see those kinds of things, and it says that it's inclusive, it doesn't mean it's inclusive. What it is doing is it's the Hegelian dialectic. We're creating problems. We want to have more strife and internal disorganization, disarray, and people fighting amongst one another. Then you have members fighting amongst each other. They don't trust each other. They don't trust their organization. Nobody really. And what are you going to attract? What are you going to attract? I mean, down in the United States, what was that story? And at minimum, if you have an excessive IQ, which wasn't excessive, I think it was 100. If you have an IQ over 100, you can't apply to the police department. Sorry, you're too smart for us. We don't want you. We want as dumb as possible, easy to manipulate, easy to follow orders, who are just zombie foot soldiers.
Well, yeah,
you get rid of all of the good ones.
Yeah, in 1992 and 93, they brought in the rule that, or they tried to bring in the rule, and but they still use it as an unwritten rule. And maybe it's gone further since then. It's been a long time for me, but yeah, it came about that all of a sudden you had to have 4 years of college or university. Well, why? Right? Because they wanted people to think a certain way. They want people to speak a certain way. They wanted a certain level of conduct. They wanted a certain level of prestige. All these things. Basically, I think a lot of it is, even back then, we'll call it the liberal indoctrination of colleges and universities, was strong. They had made huge headways, and they were able to pick and choose the ones they wanted to do things a certain way. Now, the problem with that is people are smart, people are intelligent. IQ tests aren't always an indication of street smarts or just general common sense or any of these things.
No, they're not.
And we're seeing it now. One famous example is the election in the States and people getting red-pilled, it's called, of course. But you're seeing now where a lot of police forces and sheriff's departments and things like this used to support Democrats. Now they're going the other way because they're waking up.
Yes, but
again,
even that is this has gone very, very far off topic. But
I know that I'm bringing it around though.
I don't. It's just garbage. The right-left paradigm is all bullshit. Anybody who wants to read about how communism was funded by capitalism, by the same people, they support both sides. It is all the same. The politicians are friends in the back rooms because they have the same masters. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you stick in there. That is there to give you, me, everybody else, the false sense, hey, you can do something about this. What you do is you give away your power, which you have, funnily enough. We all have a ton of power, but you say, you know what? You'll take care of me. And I'll just change my government in 4 years. And now you've got another 4 years to destroy the world. But you know what?
Right.
The next party that you elect does the same fucking thing.
Yep. And that's where the point I was going to come around to here in Canada. You do have a lot of police officers and higher up members of the military, et cetera, that do see these things, and they do realize, well, God, there's just no way. Like, the change we have to make is not, it is the government, but it's all of the government.
Mm-hmm.
And it's everybody that puts themselves up high and in charge, and I mean, you want to know how crooked somebody is? Truman said it the best. You want to see an honest politician will come into politics with a little bit of money and leave with a little bit of money.
Yep.
A dishonest politician will come into politics with no money and leave rich.
Yeah, and so will his friends. Everybody's the same. We make a little bit of money, and that's what we get paid, and nobody's getting any patronage, and nobody's getting any special contracts. And that shows, well, but you're not going to get there. In this system, you will never get there. They will take you down. If you don't sell your soul, you're out. You're out.
Yes.
I mean, I've never talked about that very much, but the business about, it's a story I want to do separately, but is the story of Baird. and how Baird got sewered.
Mm.
The former Foreign Affairs.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs.
And then all of a sudden, one day, he just disappeared, right? He just, I'm retiring from everything. Well, funnily enough, that involved the RCMP and Anonymous. And Anonymous had some information on Mr. Baird because they were pissed off because the RCMP shot somebody. And they said, you either investigate that or we're going to drop some information. And they started to. And that was it. Baird was, then it went to, I think the National Post said, RCMP investigating anonymous tweets, and then he retired within a couple of days. And it had to do with some pretty seedy things that Mr. Baird was into, but that's sadly what happens when you're a high-level politician. They get you, they honeypot you, and then they own you. So you can't get to the upper echelons without being owned one way or another. You're either getting bribed, and people are too, I don't understand why people are too short-sighted to think. They think, oh, my life, what do I have? What kind of money do I have in my circle? And that's it. They don't care about anything else around them. They'll sell them all out. Or they're going to succumb to other carnal things that are in all of us. Not some of them. Some of them are fairly disgusting, but it doesn't take a lot to do that. And then you own people. You want even to get elected. Look at how these are plants. Who is it? Ahmed Hussein. Ahmed Hussein, who is the immigration minister. Oh yes, I did that. You said. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
You said 40 million. So interesting that Rabbi Media is now doing a story that I did 5 years ago, except they're painting it in their agenda picture, but about how Mr. Soros, who's just a face, but Mr. Soros was planning and selling out Canada 100 million people, but sorry, I sidetracked there for a moment. Now I've forgotten my point.
The biggest thing about all of this is that, again, that we got into this conversation because of what we're investigating, and it comes around to it again. The reason things are so bad with this investigation and with the situation from the first moment, because of all the backroom bullshit, and you end up with 24 dead people and families destroyed and 23. And this is just one situation. You brought it up before about Moncton with the RCMP and the Marathorpe. I mean, they lied their teeth about Marathorpe. The CBC TV series that they made, the TV 3-part movie they made, I mean, that was just an absolute atrocity. The way they did that and portrayed it and tried to explain it to the public and get people to go, oh, I feel so sorry. I mean, just again, from the first moment, that there, Marathorpe, Moncton, Chicoutimi, I mean, every one of them was an absolute clusterfuck from the first moment.
And what does that do? Demoralizes the RCMP. They had the money, for instance, and these trashy individuals, they had the money to deal with the carbine issue years and years before, but they didn't deal with it. Who sat on that commission who kept tanking the reports that they were saying, this is what we need, this is what we need? Well, that was none other than the police chief of Edmonton now. His name is Necht, and Necht is running around destroying all the police chiefs in Alberta. So it just moves out. It just spreads like cancer. It's disgusting how this works. But it's the rooting out who these people are. Edmonton Police Chief Necht, i.e. garbage. Bob Paulson, big time garbage. You can point your fingers at them. They should have, you know, like they used to have in the old days, they make people wear signs, you know, or put them in stocks that I'm a piece of garbage.
You know,
I'm a piece of garbage, and all of people point fingers at them, and they're like to their kids, this is what you don't want to be like. Bob Paulson, garbage.
Yeah, I don't even want to start with Paulson. The thing about, excuse me, the whole thing about the carbine issue is, again, it comes down to just a blunder, a clusterfuck, and a tornado all at the same time. They brought the damn things in. They got them all across the country. They still didn't train everybody properly. They not just in how to use the weapon, but in tactics and it just all kinds of things. I mean, they don't teach verbal judo, but they'll give you a fucking, you know, M4. Jesus, you know.
Well, yes, but I mean, it's not just, you know, mistakes. Like on that case with the carbines, funnily enough, that was again fraud by white shirts, because the money disappeared. They had the money. Then the reports came saying, give out the carbines for years. I think it was 7 years. And the guy who wrote the reports, which he said, what is the problem? Well, they actually attacked him personally and tried to ruin him academically.
Yeah. Because
he said, you have to do this, like this is the appropriate thing, because they had already defrauded. White shirts had taken the money for themselves, put them into their whatever, you know, $650,000 house, Mr. Campbell, out there in Halifax. Nice house. Just saying. That kind of stuff. They didn't want people because they didn't have the money anymore. They'd already taken it. They'd already stolen it. So now you have to cover up how to not give out the carbines. Oh, we'll just delay that. We'll delay that. It's like a loan that you've put off for a long time, except it went into people's pockets. But it's not just, the corruption is only building upon a carnal sin that that we can succumb to. All of us can succumb to. People either will sell out to that, and then we are going to end up in a lot of problems, or people will have strong morals and uphold them and won't do that and identify, not say, this is getting really off topic, but not say something like, because we have incarnations of how do you give your power away? How do you have faith in other things? So it's politicians is one, teachers is another one. And I would say probably the latest one, sadly, is Q. Oh, don't worry about everything is going to be taken care of because there's these magical people out there who are going to take care of you. No, they're not. Nobody's going to take care of you but you. Maybe there is some people, but are you going to play Russian roulette and be like, well, maybe there is, maybe there's not. If there's not, so what? Then I'm going to end up fuck more? Like you might as well be operating as derp, lady.
Well, yeah.
Anyway, I'm getting really far off topic. It was awesome tonight to hear Leon speak his truth. I think that's what needs to be celebrated. I think that hopefully as many people will hear that truth and listen to it, because it's a very small way of starting to attack this problem. The people out on the street realizing that they are empowered, that they can make a difference, because politicians are starting to shit their pants. Worldwide, They're beginning to understand that there are people who simply will not tolerate garbage anymore. They're done, and they're going to do something about it themselves. They're not going to say, oh, you're going to take care of me, and give their power away any longer. And, I think that those kinds of very small demonstrations, because if you're thinking about it, how many people protested up there at Bible Hill? A couple hundred?
Yeah.
A couple hundred went up to Bible Hill. And then Bridgeport was smaller. And yet, funnily enough, Harry Bond's rally for the 23 angels, which still they will never honor. They fucking lied about that. That made me so mad when I saw that today. They deleted that part of the interview. But the 23 angels, more people. And throughout that, what has happened? We've had one politician resign, two politicians resign. I think Murnau, funnily enough, is connected to it in a way, at least in the RCMP fraud, insurance fraud part. But people are beginning to stand up, and people just need to continue to stand up. Yes, you can lose yourself in the TV or the, whatever, I don't know, fucking Bachelorette, or life keeps us all very busy, or you can just maybe take your kids and go to a couple of these things and stand on the street, and it does something because they see it. They see it. Especially when there's a lot of evidence and power and there's minds behind it. It's not just people standing on a street and then they're like, honk your horn at my balloon.
Yeah. There's just so much going on right now. Again, this happened in the middle of COVID, and, there's all these distractions. There's all these things that are, keeping people held down.
But we keep ourselves held down, though, too, right?
Yeah, that's a lot of it.
I don't know about you. Maybe I operate with a different mindset, but I come at it from, but probably not, funnily enough. I think we're very much in line on the same things. And I'm very much about personal responsibility. Anybody can do whatever the fuck they want to do, and that's up to them. But I can make a difference. I have power, and nobody's taking that away from me. And I'm not going to give it away, at least as little as possible. In this day and age, you have to, right? Click roll agreements. Yes, I agree. You can't even, I want to look at your website, so I have to give out all my personal information. What?
Yeah.
As soon as I clicked on the the website, I've already given away. You're not even giving me the option to say no. This is how crazy it's become. I'm sorry I didn't get to probe your mind on more, but I think this might be actually a good thing to sleep on a little bit, in terms of what were the points that Leon said versus what is the information that we know or have been told, and how do we take what we've been told and destroy that narrative, because it's all there. People like Leon with statements like he said tonight, which aren't mainstream stuff, but are the information, are the truth coming from an individual who is there, who knows, and actually can take apart the information of somebody who wasn't. Gigantic organization who lies and is protecting an individual who is doing something. So because I know like things like, like the communications box. I mean, you spotted that. There's many things that you spot, and I would be very curious to hear a list of the things that you saw or heard, from Leon that particularly stand out to you.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll take some time tomorrow afternoon, and I'll listen to it again and take notes.
Mm-hmm.
And then do some comparisons. Again, striking for me was it's as tragic as it is confirmation that again, like just a few things. Okay, so she looked normal to him. He can tell, like he knows the ground, he knows the bush, he knows his yard, he knows Wortman's yard, he knows the green zone land between the water and the properties. She did not crawl through anything. She wasn't hiding in the bush. There's no way she wasn't. He even mentioned the plants that would have been on her. She was not wearing shoes. Wouldn't her socks have been, wet and dirty because it did rain the night before? It was.
No, she had bare feet.
Things like this.
She had bare feet.
And then you put on top of that.
Yep.
The fact that the way he was treated and guns pointed and questions and a cop won't even open the window to talk to you. Now I don't know if that's because on those tactical vehicles maybe that guy can't roll the window down. I don't know if it was one of those armored cars. But just a lot of the things we kind of speculated at first, or we had questions about, or these were, questions that came up. People in the chats give it, their input, and then a lot of stuff's come through on the server, and I think there was vindication tonight through his conversation to a lot of points. And so I think but there are more questions, again, to get into more detail. But like you said earlier in the conversation we're having now, it's like, how hard do we really want to push these people? Right? You have to be cognizant of their situation, and so
but we didn't. You see, that's the interesting thing. We didn't push on him.
No, we didn't.
No. He came by his own, because he felt he wasn't being heard, and he was getting pissed. I will say this. This is very interesting, and frankly, I don't know if I shared this with you, but I definitely haven't shared it with and I think it's fair to share. I don't think he'd be upset with it. When Leon, so the Fifth Estate, again, I'm finding the timing of all of this great. The new warrant drops, a picture emerges, Fifth Estate rolls along. And there was a couple of other ones. Oh yeah, the Tim Bousquet, Paul Palango fiasco, and there's a couple more that have all happened in the same time circle. But Leon made a post on his Facebook. Project Wide Awake. Anybody remember how I was talking about Project Wide Awake and how it monitors? Yeah. Leon made a post on his Facebook saying that he was pissed off because he's put in numerous complaints, as he spoke of tonight, to Ottawa, to Nova Scotia RCMP, and none of them listened to him. So he's like, fuck you. Okay, fine. I'm going to do it with Ottawa. Nobody listened. Nobody cared. They just disregarded him entirely. So anyways, the Fifth Estate stuff comes up, funnily enough, just conveniently, and they want to interview him. So he puts on his post, well, you know what? I'm going to fucking tell the truth on the Fifth Estate on Facebook. Do you know what? He got a phone call from the RCMP. Is there anything we can do to help you, Leon?
Yeah, fuck right off.
No, seriously, that's what they said. Is there anything we can do to help you? Are you upset with anything right now? We can help you.
Yeah.
because they were trying to get him to go away, not do the story. You know,
Yeah.
who knows? I don't frankly have a lot. I should be careful with that. I mean, maybe the Fifth Estate will do a good job with it. I pray and hope that they will. I know that Finley wants to talk to me. I just haven't decided whether I'm going to give her a call. I don't know if that's a wise chess strategy or not, because if they could spin it really badly.
Yeah.
So, and better to be safe than sorry. So I've actually asked my lawyer to think about it and advise me on that. But,
yeah, I think that on that note, that's it comes down to pros and cons, right? So, is it advantageous to the outcome to do that? You know, and what are the pros and cons? I mean, how much could be gained over how much could be lost?
The media is a pretty powerful weapon. They can spin and cut things. When I was doing a little blurb today on Twitter on the use of Twitter. I was building it to put in the video with Leon, and then I said, to hell with it, I'm not going to do it. That's not a good idea. So, well, just because his message is his message, and I don't want to mess with it. So, but they will change things. They can change things. And when I was listening to an interview it was an audio interview, I could hear, like your ears can detect now, clips, like the clips, even though they're very subtle, how they're clipping pieces of information together or clipping out important information. So the person will be talking about one thing. They'll be talking about apples and how apples are red. And suddenly it'll not be apples that are red. It'll be fire engines that are red. Do you know what I'm talking about? They just remove the apple element. And they'll just be saying, oh yeah, it's fire engines that are red. So, you know, some people that were friends with one of the victims, and they said how they were upset. And they were upset. And the husband, at least they kind of left his stuff intact, which was interesting because he said, I'm pretty angry. But she was obviously talking about more angry, just like Clinton. He got into it and then they'd clip it out. They've made it sound like, it's very interesting to hear how his new, the latest 7-minute, 12-second clip that CBC has done with his, and they've put it together, which is fucking freaky. They've changed the aspect on it so you can't watch the background to see where they're clipping it. And they made it sound like he literally lost his phone. Oh, I just lost my phone. No, the RCMP took his phone. He quite clearly said that. They won't give it to me back. But he's like, oh, I came down here and I was in the back of the armored vehicle and suddenly my phone just disappeared. Like, no, that's not what he was talking about, So, yeah. All right. Well, please let me know in the next day or two some thoughts. Equally, everybody out there, please, I think this is going to give you a lot of, what would my mom always say? A lot of things to sleep on. And so we can share it in the Discord, even amongst the RCMP garbage who are taking notes, and keep them on the run. Yep. All right, my friend.
All right, good stuff.
Take good care. I'm glad. Thank you for joining me, and I'm glad you had it sound like a good dinner. I'm going to have mine tomorrow night.
Yeah, and again, I hope everybody out there has a happy Thanksgiving, and we will chat soon.
All right. Take good care, my friend. All right.
Good night.
Bye-bye. All right. So I will wrap this up. I think we're going on for long. I love how you guys are so dedicated and awesome and so helpful. I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. Like, it's not a one-man show. It's really not. And I know that. I will always say that. Always. This is many people. I am just one goof who can barely turn on his stream, as many of you all know, and sadly that interview the other night showed too. Totally missed out. That was a much longer interview, but he said, I can't do that this time around. I can't do it that long. So that's kind. We'll do it a little bit shorter. All right. But he will, I suspect he's going to answer some more questions again, if we have them. That's what he said. So, but have to be very, very respectful. So please, I do again implore you a couple of things. If you don't mind sharing his interview, it's his message. He wants that to get out. That's important to him. That's something we can do to help. And I'd like to do that. And number two, please don't, you can find him. Please don't let him have his space. I mean, it's cost him a lot personally. And he's a very brave man, and he is, I have the utmost respect for him. But I think we need to give all of these people their space. And meanwhile, we can do lots in the meantime until, they're comfortable at a place that they feel like talking. All right. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Happy Thanksgiving, Sharon. Happy Thanksgiving. Love you. Okay. And God bless everybody.